best retirement states for Social Security, affordable retirement living, and low-cost states for retirees are becoming some of the most searched topics on YouTube as millions of Americans worry about rising living costs. Retirement planning in America is getting harder every year, especially for baby boomers with little or no savings. Finding the best states to retire on Social Security can make a huge difference for seniors trying to enjoy a comfortable and stress-free lifestyle. Retirement is supposed to be about relaxing, enjoying life, and finally having time for the things you love. But for nearly 40% of baby boomers with no retirement savings, that dream can quickly turn into a financial struggle filled with tight budgets and difficult choices. The good news is that some U.S. states are still affordable enough for retirees living on Social Security or a modest pension. While Social Security alone may not cover every expense, many retirees combine it with part-time work and helpful senior assistance programs. Today, we're exploring the best states for retirees living on Social Security. Number 10. North Dakota. If you're searching for affordable retirement states, low cost of living, and the best states for retirees on Social Security, North Dakota deserves a closer look. While it shares many similarities with South Dakota, North Dakota is generally colder and slightly cheaper to live in. The state's overall cost of living remains below the national average, making it an attractive option for retirees trying to stretch their retirement income. One of the biggest advantages of living here is the quality of healthcare. Medical access is considered reliable, and healthcare outcomes consistently receive strong ratings, which is especially important for seniors. A couple of years ago, I met a man from North Dakota while riding a train. He was friendly and had plenty to say about surviving the brutal winters there. The way he described winter preparation sounded almost like getting ready for a major life event. He explained that before winter arrives, residents make sure they have everything they need because conditions can become extremely harsh. He talked about stocking up on firewood, books, and enough supplies to last through months of freezing temperatures. Surprisingly, he also mentioned keeping Red Bulls around all winter long, which seemed a little questionable, considering he was 72 years old. He told me he usually reads around 14 books every winter, which initially sounded impressive until I remembered that winters in North Dakota can last nearly half the year. Coming from Southern California, where winter barely lasts a few weeks, it was hard for me to imagine. Known as the Peace Garden State, North Dakota may have severe winters, but its housing costs are still relatively affordable. The average home value is around $261,000, while a typical two-bedroom apartment rents for about $1,082 per month. Gas prices are also lower than the national average, and the state ranks highly for senior support programs. Number 9. Kentucky. Let's take a look at number 10. Kentucky, bourbon and bargains. Kentucky is great if you like cheap living and don't mind healthcare being, well, iffy at best. Housing is affordable, groceries won't break the bank, and you can drink great bourbon while you pretend healthcare isn't an issue. Now, the state doesn't tax Social Security benefits. A lot of people don't, but they're one of the states that do, which is a win. Just be ready for some, let's say, rustic medical facilities. I'm not talking backwoods Jeb giving you your pap smear, but if you aren't in a big city, most local clinics are a little underfunded. Let's take a look at the numbers. The state's typical home value is about $228,000, which is up about 4% over the last year. Rent for a two-bedroom apartment statewide is about $1,300. People always ask this, and I thought I'd throw it in here since I found the stat, but the 2024 average gasoline price was 10.6% lower than the rest of the country. Finally, their cost of living index is 93.2, which is pretty close to middle of the road. Pennsylvania and Nevada are right in the middle. Pennsylvania is 99, and Nevada is 101.3. The best way to look at that is, if Kentucky has a cost of living index of 93, then in an average state like Pennsylvania, if you buy $100 worth of groceries, those same $100 worth of groceries would cost $93 in Kentucky. A little more goes into that, but that's the general idea. In my opinion, Kentucky is a great state to move to if you're retired. It is affordable. Stay close to the big cities if you have any medical conditions, or prepare for a quick road trip just to see the doctor. Once again, I will never talk badly about the doctors, nurses, and staff. It's usually funding and lack of access where the real problem with healthcare comes in. Whatever they can't fix, I'm sure a shot of Kentucky bourbon will fix everything that ails you. Number 8. Kansas, the land of affordable housing. Housing in Kansas is so cheap, you could probably buy a house with your loose change. Taxes are a little higher than some states, but overall, it's one of the most affordable states for retirees. You just have to learn to deal with the lack of mountains or hills in the distance. That bothered me when I was there for about 18 months, once for the military. The Sunflower State has low-cost living. The typical home value is about $230,000, and renters statewide pay an average of about $1,295 per month for a 2-bedroom apartment. The average gallon of gas in Kansas in 2024 was 8.9% lower than the national average. The cost of living index is 91.6, and they are ranked 8th in the nation when it comes to senior programs. Number 7. Ohio. Low cost, high quality of life. Ohio is a lot of things, but expensive is not one of them. Housing is affordable, healthcare is decent, and the people in Ohio are actually friendly. What's the downside? Well, it's Ohio. The people are really friendly. It's a Midwestern state, and that's just how people are out there. You've got Southern charm combined with Midwest niceness. I've known a few people from Ohio over the years. I visited several times, and they were all relatively kind, unless you go to a Cleveland Browns game wearing a Steelers jersey. Then you might have some problems. Ohio is kind of weird when it comes to football. Texas is probably a little more intense, but high school football is a big deal in Ohio too. In most states, people don't attend high school football games unless they have a kid or grandchild playing. Not in Ohio. Everyone goes. There are places in Texas where actual businesses shut down while a game is on, and Ohio is a stronghold of that culture as well. If you're a retiree who likes high school football, Ohio is a good place. On a budget, going to local games costs about $5, which is quite reasonable. Overall, the Buckeye State is a very affordable place to live. The state's typical home value is about $231,000, up about 5% from last year. Rent statewide for a 2-bedroom apartment is about $1,300, and the average gas price is about 10% lower than the national average. The cost of living index in Ohio is 92.2, and they are ranked number 5 when it comes to senior programs. Number 6. Iowa, the overachiever. Iowa is an all-around great place for retirees on a budget. Low-cost living, friendly tax policies, and actually decent healthcare make it one of the best options if you don't mind all that corn and boredom. Iowa is a boring state. Just Google, most boring state, and I promise Iowa will be in the top 5. Have you ever heard the expression, as exciting as watching paint dry? That's uncomfortably close to what goes on in Iowa. I have a few Army buddies from Iowa. They always say they grew up there and it was great, and they really enjoyed it. They did say it was a little boring. You end up playing hide and seek in a cornfield. Oddly enough, every single one of them got into law enforcement after the military. One is a state cop, retired. another is a sheriff, and another just retired as a probation officer. In the Hawkeye State, the typical home value is about $221,000, up 3.4% from last year. Nationwide, rent for a two-bedroom apartment is about $1,200 per month, which isn't terrible. Most of the state is completely void of crime, although there are some places like Des Moines and a few other areas with more incidents. Their healthcare receives pretty good ratings too. The average gallon of gas in Iowa in 2024 was about 6.1% below the national average. The cost of living index is 89.9, and they are tied with Louisiana when it comes to senior programs, ranking number 6. Number 5, Louisiana, where retirement meets great food, music, and affordable living. Sign me up. Louisiana doesn't tax Social Security benefits, and many retirement incomes are tax-exempt. The downside is that healthcare rankings are some of the lowest in the nation, but if you can make it past that, you'll be rewarded with amazing food, drinks, and a good time. Louisiana is currently the poorest state in the nation, so it only makes sense that it's affordable, not just for retirees, but for everyone. I've been to Louisiana a couple of times over the last 5 years and had a good time each visit. The state's typical home value is about $199,000, down 2.1% over the last year. Rent averages about $1,500 per month, and a gallon of gas in 2024 was about 10.2% lower than the national average. The cost of living index is 90.7, and their senior programs are ranked number 6. Number 4, Oklahoma. Tornadoes are optional. Actually, tornadoes aren't really optional, so be prepared. Oklahoma is in Tornado Alley. The state boasts one of the lowest housing costs in the country, so you can afford a decent home without selling your mint collection of Fat Albert comic books. Social Security isn't taxed, and retirement income receives a decent deduction. The downside is that the weather can be a bit dramatic, and the healthcare system isn't winning any big awards. If you're looking for affordability, Oklahoma is a great option. I've never really enjoyed the state. I don't think I'd move there, but they are affordable. The typical home value in the Sooner State is about $260,000, up about 3.2% from last year. Rent statewide for a two-bedroom apartment usually is around $1,400. The best part? Gas, on average in 2024, was 13.3% below the national average. You can get around for next to nothing. The cost of living index is 86.8, and they're ranked 10th when it comes to senior programs. They would probably jump up on a list like this if they had more senior programs. Number 3, Mississippi. Cheap living, questionable everything else. Mississippi is dirt cheap and incredibly tax-friendly. You won't pay taxes on any retirement income, and property taxes are laughably low. The quality of healthcare and overall well-being scores are not great, so you may need to bring your own doctor. Mississippi is one of the most affordable states in the country because it's also one of the poorest. One problem with having a poor state is that they don't have much money for infrastructure. Roads might not be the best, parks might be run down, and Jackson, Mississippi, is one of the most dangerous state capitals in the country. But it is affordable. The average home value in the Magnolia State is $178,000, down 0.9% from last year. Rent statewide for a two-bedroom apartment averages $1,380. Gas prices in 2024 were 13.7% below the national average. The cost of living index is 86.7, which is higher than Alabama, which is why Mississippi is ranked number 2. Senior programs are ranked 3rd in the nation. Even though the state doesn't have much money, it seems to pull it off for seniors. If you stay out of Jackson and some of the small towns that aren't great, it's probably a very good place to retire. I've said before that I have family from Mississippi and used to visit all the time. People are decent, but if you make a wrong turn on a country road, you will find out what backwoods really means. Number 2. Alabama. Low cost, high humidity. We've talked about Alabama several times on this channel. We all know it's hot, humid, and has a bizarre fascination with sweet tea and Crimson Tide football. It also has one of the scariest cities in the country, which is Birmingham. Mobile has some crime, but it's a decent city. Once you get past that, if you don't mind sweating through your retirement, Alabama is a solid choice. Groceries, housing, and transportation are dirt cheap. Plus, Social Security benefits aren't taxed, and property taxes are among the lowest in the country. Unless you're from somewhere else, people always claim their property taxes are the highest. No, they are not. At least not in Alabama. Texas is pretty rough, so they have something to complain about. The downside of all that affordability is that Alabama has a lower quality of life score than just about any other state, including higher elderly food insecurity. This is something they are working on, so we'll see how that pans out over the next couple of years. The average home value in the Yellowhammer State is about $228,000, up 1.4% over the last year. Rent statewide for a 2-bedroom apartment averages about $1,340. Gas prices are relatively low. The average gas price in 2024 was slightly below the national average. The cost of living index is 85.2, and their senior programs are ranked 14th in the nation. Despite this, Alabama has a large retirement community, huge compared to Florida and Arizona. I think South Carolina might edge them out. Number 1. West Virginia. Wild and wonderfully cheap. West Virginia is like a cheap Airbnb. Great value but somewhat questionable amenities. It is almost 15% cheaper than the national average for just about everything. Housing costs are impressively low, but be prepared for some isolation and limited healthcare options. This is largely due to access. West Virginia is very mountainous, and it's not the easiest state to get around. Hospitals are few and far between. If you live in the city, you'll have better options, but a lot of small towns are far away from hospitals. West Virginia also experiences harsh winters. It's a mountain state, but not in the Rockies, despite what some people think. I was talking to a guy at a pub near my house about the cheapest places to live, and he kept calling it the Rocky Mountain State. I corrected him. It's not. And he rolled his eyes like I didn't know what I was talking about. There are mountains in the U.S. besides the Rockies, but it was funny to watch him insist he was right. The average home value in West Virginia is around $167,000, which is dirt cheap, up about 5% over the last year. Rent statewide for a 2-bedroom apartment averages about $1,195. The average gallon of gasoline in 2024 was about 5.2% below the national average. The cost of living index is 85. Senior programs are ranked 4th in the nation. If you can get past the weather and limited healthcare options, West Virginia is a great option for anyone retiring on a budget. This is one of those states where you might actually be able to live comfortably on Social Security alone. It will be tight, but it's doable. And there you have it. Our countdown of the 10 most affordable states for retirees in 2026. Each state has its own unique charm, lifestyle, and quirks. But one thing is clear. Living comfortably on a budget is possible anywhere if you plan wisely and keep an open mind. Remember, retirement isn't just about numbers. It's about freedom, peace of mind, and enjoying the things that make life meaningful. Whether it's sipping bourbon in Kentucky, reading through a long North Dakota winter, cheering at a high school football game in Ohio, or exploring the mountains of West Virginia, the right place for you is out there. So take this as your invitation to dream a little bigger, plan a little smarter, and embrace the adventure that retirement can be. The key is to focus on what matters most to you, make informed choices, and never forget to have fun along the way. Your perfect retirement is waiting. Go find it, and make every day count. If you dream of retiring outside the United States at a lower cost, stay tuned for our next video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press like. Thanks for watching.